I came into the guard, telling them like, hey, my goal actually, yeah, as much as like we got to win Ascension and that's the point, but I always put something that's like even more far reaching, and that's like I want you guys to have like long professional careers, and that's because I never had a professional gaming career. I wasn't good enough, but I always saw how these teams come and go. I'm very observant, and I've also led amateur teams myself, so even looking at myself like how I failed many times, I wanted to make sure like they don't go through that.
Hey everyone, Sage2 in here. I'm here with the victorious JoshRT. Finally has that championship trophy at the tier 1 level with G2 Esports. Initial thoughts, how are you feeling? Relief, happiness? Talk to me.
Mainly relief, honestly. I mean, there's a moment of happiness when we like got that last round, and I knew like, okay, we clinched it finally. And obviously as we saw, like it was not an easy grand final. I thought like we would come out swinging, but they were shooting so well in the beginning. I knew I had to like recollect the guys a little bit, like calm them down, and just like, hey, it's a marathon, not a sprint. We can get our maps in. We know what we'll be good at. And it kind of surprised us that we got to map 5, but it kind of shows like the resiliency from the group. It's been a journey, definitely.
Yeah, and I'm actually curious because I want to ask what was going on in terms of just in the 5 minutes when you go into game 4, when you're down 2-1, when, like you said, before we came in, the expectation for you was like, I thought this was going to be a 3-0 series. So how do you kind of round people up, and then how do you treat that situation where you're one game away from losing?
Yeah. I think like everybody, there's always doubt whenever it's like something like that possibility of happening. And I mean, we are no strangers to failing at this point, so like, we lost 2 grand finals in a row regionally, and this was like eerily similar to the Lev game in stage 2, where we 2-0'd them, and then they beat us in the grand finals. So it was my job to just make sure like they understood and like zoned out like what they needed to do to accomplish like a map win. And then from there, it's just like, hey, let's get our pistols down. Let's make sure we reinforce like what makes us succeed. And that's like the fundamentals. Make sure like there's a flow to our calls, and making sure we're playing together. So yeah, I mean, credit to my players to like take that in and apply it and like recollect themselves in whatever way, how. It's not just me. Yeah. Like it's all like all on the players to try to figure out a way to do it at that point.
Mm-hmm. Something that I've been really impressed with this team specifically, and this core, you've been with this team since 2023. When you have a core that's been together for so long, how do you continue to not get complacent and continue to grow after you kind of hit that initial period where growth just feels a lot faster, and it's kind of harder to find those breaking points to feel like you're actually improving?
That's honestly a really good question. So came into the guard, telling them like, hey, my goal actually, yeah, as much as like we got to win Ascension, and that's the point, but I always put something that's like even more far reaching, and that's like I want you guys to have like long professional careers, and that's because I never had a professional gaming career. I wasn't good enough, but I always saw how these teams come and go. I'm very observant, and I've also led amateur teams myself, so even looking at myself like how I failed many times, I wanted to make sure like they don't go through that. And so I kind of like shepherd them into a path of just like, you got to stay humble. You got to make sure you're always grinding towards a goal. I think as people, you feel good if you're working towards a goal, right? So it's just, as a coach, you're setting the goals for practice. You're setting a higher bar. You're moving literally the goalposts at times. Yeah. Like once you accomplish this, all right, here's the next one. And it's trying to like curate that hunger and always have that chip in the shoulder. And so like this year was easy because we got second places a lot last year. So like, all right, now we got to start winning. And then now the challenge is, okay, we got this. And now we're considered a top in the world team. Yeah. We didn't get number 1 yet. Mm-hmm. Like I'll always find ways to motivate them. But yeah, like complacency kills teams. Yeah. Complacency kills great teams. Mm. And yeah, I think it's all about the culture. And I'm just so happy that we built a really strong culture from the guard to G2, and then like we extended to when new players come and go, the culture stays the same, and it comes from the leadership, top down. I'm so happy that like G2 kind of trusted me in doing that, but also like Jake, he's embodying it more and more every day. You can just listen to his interviews. Like he's such a great leader now. And like all the other players, they are leaders in their own right, and that's kind of like the philosophy. Like just make them leaders, and they can always figure out a way to win. Yeah.
You work with Jake, or like Valen for the viewers that don't go to Wikipedia, right? You've worked with him for quite a while, and I'm actually curious when you say that he's grown so much and become a really great leader. Because back when we spoke to him in 2022 in that run, it seemed like he just felt very composed and felt like a great leader already. After having worked with him for so many years, what do you feel like is the biggest thing that was holding him back before, and how do you feel like he was able to overcome that and become who he is today? Like, what was the thing that you worked with him the most?
Thinking about it, I mean, there's obviously a lot of details that I probably forget. Just reflecting a little bit how he was back in 2023. I would say sometimes with like great talent, you're kind of you don't always get like the right perspective about the people that you lead, and so it's harder for such talented. I would say like he's a very what's the word, like a very articulate speaker. He's very good. He's good. He's great on the desk. Like even back then, he's great in interviews. But like I remember back then, like he would kind of look over those like moments where you gotta lead people, because at the end of the day, like you gotta help them out, you gotta encourage them, you gotta like show them the ropes at times. Even though like you're struggling yourself, like you just gotta like expand more of your own energy to really lead the group. And then these are young people, and it's hard to think not just for yourself, and that's probably the biggest change. Like he's starting to think more about not just him, but the team collectively. And yeah, I mean, that's just a young person thing. I think every young person kind of thinks like,
you're 2003, right?
Yeah. I mean, like even thinking about myself, like you only really think about yourself until you find people that you care about, and then you really start expanding yourselves. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the path I kind of pushed. I enjoy seeing the process play out.
So then now my final question is, you said before, like 4 to 5 days before you fly to Bangkok, going to be competing internationally, first seed, no second seed or anything like that.
Yeah.
Talk to me about going to the event. What are the things that you want to see, and how do you kind of maintain this philosophy of we're great, but we could be even better, so that you can lift your first international trophy?
Well, it's easy because we haven't got that trophy yet, so I can just remind them, hey, this is the goal, guys. And I go into every team meeting with some kind of message like that. Like, yeah, it's been like the road to Bangkok. Then it's like let's beat Lev, and I use like choice words here and there. Like now it's like let's crap on Sen, like whatever it is. Like just so like the guys feel kind of motivated and have like a mantra in their head. Like this is what we're working on this week. And now, like, I'll just have to figure out, like, who our opponents are, see what angle I can go with, and just keep reminding them, like, job's not done. We're on a continuous process to be the best team in the world. And Masters Bangkok is just one pit stop in this journey of, like, getting it to champs and then win that trophy.
Awesome, Josh. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.